In the last two videos, I've addressed the psyche from a psychological perspective, especially addressing the ego. Today, I would like to address the psyche from a metaphysical viewpoint. The reason I started with psychology is that it was really important we address the issue of the ego first, because it presents the biggest block and it takes over our psyche to the degree that we are unable to even accept any other view, any other option, any other knowledge than the one any other knowledge than what we actually learned. To the degree we start to defend things and we are unable to even open our minds to the idea that there are more things to learn. Today I would like to talk about what I call time loops. If you address the issue of time, most people, when you ask them about the time, they think of a watch or a clock, or a day and night, or how the years go by. But really, when you think about it, people usually start to add time linearly. Example, say an hour has passed or 10 years have passed, and they add them, like we used to be in 2014, 2015, 2016, and they kind of forget that the time is actually cyclical, in the sense that day and night come in a cycle. They are not really linear. This is how the year happens. The earth revolves around the sun. It does not go in a linear fashion around the sun. Yet, in our minds, we actually count years, like to make sense of how much time has passed. But we forget the cyclical nature of time. And sometimes we notice that in our lives, certain events repeat themselves. Like, there's people who continuously find themselves in bad relationships, or a certain kind of person they go into a relationship with, for example, an abusive person, or a person that is stingy, or they don't understand why do they keep finding the same people. Maybe they seem like different people when they met them, and then they turn out to be the same. In the first two videos, we talked about how the ego works on patterns, and the patterns are linked to the subconscious mind. And the funny thing is about these patterns is they not only affect our behavior, they also affect how we deal with the world. Because basically, we think in a certain way, then we feel in a certain way, and we act in a certain way. And the way we interact with the world happens in a certain way. The way we act in the external world attracts to us certain events that are similar to the way we think and what is present in our subconscious mind. In spiritual circles or metaphysical circles, they like to use the word frequency. We attract to us events that are of the same frequency that is present in our subconscious mind, even in our conscious mind. So basically, what happens is we keep on acting on this program. How do we expect to have anything outside happen to us that's any different? We are acting the same way. If you act the same way, you will have the same consequence. If you have a certain fear, that fear will keep on manifesting itself in your life, because you're still acting the same, still acting the same pattern. Nothing has changed. For example, if you have a fear of an abusive relationship, and you're still acting the same way, you still avoid certain people, still avoid certain traits, and then you're attracted to certain traits. For example, you think that, oh, look at this man, he looks like a gentleman, he looks like someone who's nice, he won't be abusive to me. And the irony is, these same traits were existent in the same men, or even whoever started that abusive pattern with you, maybe your father or uncle or any other person, exist the same traits. You are still acting on the same pattern. So, as we said, the point of going through the process of awareness and dealing with the fears and dealing with the ego that we've discussed before is to break this link, between what is actually happening internally inside of me and how they get manifested outside, and what I attract outside. Now, in terms of energy, if you want to talk about it from that perspective, you are attracting things that are of the same frequency as you. We are made of atoms, and atoms are made of electrons and protons and quarks, and these are all have energies within them. They come in wave patterns. And we are made of energy, and how would we expect that everything around us, they're just different frequencies, some lower frequencies, some higher frequencies, some, if you remember chemistry lessons from school, solids vibrate, atoms of solid vibrate at a lower frequency, and then when you go through the phases, liquid and vapor, they vibrate at higher, they have a higher potential of energy. Various institutes like the Heart Math Institute have discovered that the heart itself has an electromagnetic field, just like the brain, and which is even larger, and it actually surrounds us like in a torus fashion. And I've linked below some videos about that. And they also made many studies about how the heart's rhythm and frequency affects our emotions and our patterns of thinking. And what I've discussed before can be considered as a law of universe. This law sometimes is called the law of attraction, and you may have read about it. There are many books that have addressed this law, where they tell you a method to manifest things in your life, whether they're materialistic things like money or cars or jobs, or things that are more metaphysical in nature. The choice is up to you what you wish to manifest in your life. What I'm actually addressing here is simply the process of having a change and reforming your life to what you actually want it to be. Another concept talked about very specifically by the psychologist I have mentioned before, Carl Jung, along with the physicist Wolfgang Pauli. And this also is considered a law of the universe by some, and others as a phenomenon, is synchronicity. Synchronicity is basically when things that are similar in frequency come to you, but in ways that you're not really aware of in ways that are not really causal in nature. It actually happened with when Jung noticed it. He was with the story goes that he was how he recounted it. He was with a patient, and the patient was discussing a dream of hers, and she was talking about a scarab in the dream. And then he noticed there's some noise in the window, and he went and he found an actual beetle that looked very, very similar to a scarab. And he was like, what's the possibility? What's the probability of something like that happening? And people who are on their awareness journey will notice that synchronicity happens very much. It's like a flow within the universe. Things that are similar in frequency, resonance, tend to come your way. It's like, if I remember when I started on my awareness journey, I wanted to know more about what people go through when they're on this journey. And then all of a sudden I got the idea, well, I have all these books on the shelf. I don't even know if they should be here or not. Should I give them to someone? And I was going through these books, and then I found out I bought a book once few years ago that had to do with the same exact concept I wanted to know about. And I didn't even read it. I remember I read a few pages and didn't understand anything of it back then, and then I put it away. And now when I opened it and I started reading, it was exactly what I wanted. I had this book for years. And another story that happened with me is I wanted to, before I started to help people in this process and a journey, I kept thinking to myself, how can I be introduced to people? And in that sense, I mean, I lived a secluded life somewhat, and I didn't know how am I gonna find these people, And all of a sudden, a friend of mine comes and tells me about this site. And he's like, oh, are you interested in the site? You can help people through it. And I'm like, that's amazing. I go and sign up on this site, and I'm helping people. And then one day, a person contacts me, and he's like, this has been happening to me, and things like that. And he turns out that he has been beginning his awareness journey, and we have continued to go on this journey together. And this is another example. And below, I've linked you to another two gentlemen in a video who talk about how they found themselves or found each other synchronistically. To use the law of attraction and the law of synchronicity positive in your life in order to manifest what you want, we need to have the shift in the subconscious mind to positive qualities, positive things. When during the shadow process, we were trying to break the link of the old program. So we're now trying to make a new program, a positive program, in order for it to have a positive pattern and manifest it in your life. So to use the relationship example, instead of focusing on what you are trying to avoid, an abusive, for example, spouse, you focus on what you want in a spouse. For example, for him to be understanding, to be gentle, to be compassionate. So you focus on these qualities, and you put an intent that you want this to happen in your life. You want these people to come in your life with these qualities. So now there's a program in the subconscious with these qualities, and you focus that constantly. You remind yourself that this is my own intent, that these are the qualities I want. So you will notice through the law of synchronicity, a flow of things that are of similar frequency will come your way. For example, you might meet people of the same frequency or the same qualities that you intended. You might not go into a relationship with them, but a romantic relationship, but they may become your friends, you may become your business associates. But the important thing is you manifested what you wanted outside, because now the pattern is positive from the subconscious to the external. There are other laws which I did not address here, but I wish you just talk about these ones in particular, because they are the ones that will aid you in your process and path and growth that you have chosen to embark on. If you have any questions or comments, please do share.